Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nathan Gaming, where today we are continuing our journey through Rogue Trader. I'm literally making this video right after my last one. Alright, I did take a look at the Void Shadows DLC, and yeah, this is that DLC. Yeah, this is that DLC. Good to know. So, I already looted the bodies, among other things. We're pretty much good here to move on. So, yeah, last we left off, we were going through the bowels of my ship to figure out what's going on down here, because clearly there's some weird fuck shit going on. And we're just trying to get to the bottom of it, right? We're trying to get to the bottom of it because apparently, you know, Cabela is from a cult. The cult wants to see me to give me some type of, like, I wonder what's over here. To give me some type of test. And upon succeeding said test, I will get some type of divination. So, it's kind of the point of what we're doing here. What's going on over here? The kids have been waiting for you. How was your shift? We worked hard. I helped out a friend with a loading and he gave me some cards. Take them and exchange them for new shoes. You're all worn out. Oh, thank you. I've already made your bed for you. So once we've eaten, you can go rest. Little ones and I will head out to the marketplace and leave you in peace. Why did the Emperor send me such a wonderful wife? Please don't say that. That's just asking for something to happen. His lordship. I can't believe my eyes.
I always keep...
I hope no one notices this is my third time in this queue. I hope no one notices this is my third time in this queue. What is that? More cards. Out of my home. Oi, shoo. Unbelievable. Athletics. To get across, it looks like. Hmm. He was a heretic, wasn't he? Even kill upstanding folk. They say it is the Emperor's will. So I could be killed tomorrow and never know why.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Hey, I can look at that. A shred of rat's carcass and yellow-green moss stew in the cloudies. Shreds of rat carcasses and yellow-green moss stew in the cloudy sludge, along with other unidentifiable ingredients. Is this what these people eat?
Is there money to be made?
This ocular implant was a worthwhile investment. We should deal with this.
I'm finding all kinds of shit just running around.
Let us not dawdle.
Compared to naval service,
I always keep my...
Alright, time to move on, I guess. Hey, more las guns. Well-maintained las gun. That's my gun. The Ripper. I'll take it all. But I don't know what to do about that Ripper. Anyways, I got a new shit. Let's see. Can't be equipped by this character. Bolter weapon proficiency. Boy, would I love to use a bolter, though. That'd be fucking dope. Alright. Scrap chainmail. Does 30% more armor rating. I actually like that. Let's go ahead and equip it. Who else can use this? You already have one. He's already got a better one. What about this? Heavy. You could use another heavy, right? I'm not spec'd into that, just like I'm not spec'd into Medicaid. Okay, let's see. So what happened here? Precise las pistol. I don't know why you have a precise las pistol. I might have given you that by choice. The Ripper Plus. Be nice to give Abelard a bolter too, but I don't think he's going to be able to equip one. I'll give you this one. An auto gun. Let's see. I'm thinking of giving you a fire grenade. You a fire grenade. Could be beneficial to have you with a force grenade. And then a gas cloud grenade. Otherwise, let's see here. That pistol does a lot. You can equip medium armor. I kind of already knew that, but it's nice to know that you can. Let's see. 5'7", 6'8". I think I will have you equip that, actually. It has less armor penetration, but that's fine. Dodge reduction 50. What's the dodge reduction for you? There isn't any, okay. Alright. I think we're good here. Done respecing the characters. For the most part. When does this buff go away? Debuff. Duration permanent. Oh, it's permanent. It's probably permanent until I rest, so that's just something to keep in mind. Alright. Moving on. More goods. I want to leave that. Tech use. We're collecting all kinds of shit.
Taught me how.
Alright. So far, so good. This is probably the way to progress, but...
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
What's up with our formation? How come Cabela's at the front? That's gonna put me at the front. Why am I constantly at the front? That's interesting. Let's see. I'll try and customize. I'll move you here. I'll keep myself here. I'll move you to the back. Move you down here. Let's see. Maybe I will move her up further. Alright, that way. Okay, so I could just customize it myself. Alright, that's fine. Keep the ranged people further up. Keep the frontline people ahead. There we go. Keep our psyker in the back. In fact, we'll keep the psyker a little further in the back. Just kind of spread her out a bit. Okay. That should be fine. Yeah. It's not a bad formation. Alright. So, we can't go through this door. Where are we going?
I always have a backup plan.
Oh, I can pick that up. What's going on here? It's just a knife. Okay. Let's just put everything else into this cargo department. Hmm. You know what? I'm giving you the precise pistol. And then I'm gonna give you... Which one should I give it to? I'll give you the faux hammer. Oh yeah, I didn't check this either. Unfading Valor. Oh, this is a bolt pistol. In that case, you don't need that faux hammer. How do you I wonder how you get the train for bolter use, I wonder. Alright, it looks like I don't necessarily... Has additional dingle... Dingle! Has an additional single shot at a Deadeye. I'll keep it in the inventory. I'll move you. I'll move you. And I'll move you. Alright. Good enough. Okay, so we've been down this way. We found one cultist here. I think we better go find those markings again. Where was the last marking we saw? It was over here somewhere. It was right here. A sinewy middle-aged man watches the bustle of the bay with a detached expression. Every so often, whenever his eyes linger on the blood-marked inscribed nearby, his face changes strangely and his hands clench into a fist. Just as you begin to hear the rumble of an approaching train, the man's gaze turns towards the tracks. He leans forward. Do not even think of marring the underside of my train with your entrails. Avalar, do something. Avalar barks out. In the name of the dynasty, I command you to step away from the edge and explain the misdeed you are about to commit. What? I didn't. The man starts and almost falls, but manages to keep his balance. In the dim lumen light, you notice old scars scattered across his body. The scars seems vaguely familiar. Let's see. Lore, Imperium. Look at the man's scars. Succeeded. The scars all vary in length, width, depth, and shape. However, you notice a pattern in the way the scars are aligned, as well as a series of faded symbols on the man's rough skin. Death cultists bear similar marks on their bodies. He's one of the cultists. He is one of Cabela's people. But spinners are constantly renewing their wounds, while this man's looks long since healed. Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe he used to be? I don't know. We'll have to figure this out. Who are you? A dead man. I lost my name years ago. I've been just another dead man ever since. You dare insult the road trader with your impudence? Your body may already be covered in scars, but your tongue seems to be asking for more. You look like you're about to take your own life. Are you having a rotten day? My whole life has been rotten, and I only have myself to blame. I've tried to change things, fix things, but I always ended up here, so eventually I accepted the truth. Your eyes always return to that blood symbol. What do you know about it? It's a symbol of the blood-spun web. I come here every watch, but it hasn't been here before now. I guess today must be a special day. He smiles strangely. Strangely. The man's faded eyes go wide as he notices Cabela. His voice quivers. You! Have you come to take me to the other side? Cabela briefly studies the man's face, then turns away. I do not know you. Death's gaze is not upon you. The man lets out a dull groan and turns to look at the symbol again. But then why? Why is it here? You know the symbols of the blood-spun web. You bear similar marks. Are you a spinner? I was, but I failed to complete my final assignment, so I was exiled from the cult. The Vizier told me to kill the one who would be at a certain junction of the utility tunnels at a certain hour. I went to the appointed spot, then I waited. An hour, 2, 5. The junction was still empty. Nobody came. After hours of waiting, I finally realized the person at the junction had been me the whole time. It was my turn to go to the Undying One. But I was afraid. I couldn't do it my duty. I ran. So the spinners simply let you go. They made no attempts to find you and kill you. There was no pursuit. I thought I'd see their black blades the very next day. Instead, years passed without them taking my heart. I tried starting a new life, but the terror never stopped eating away at me. When I got truly desperate, I went to the Temple of Death myself, but no one there would speak to me. When I gave them my name, they just whispered, Sibrid has gone to the Undying One. They looked through me like I wasn't even there. I've lived like this for 20 years, like a coward, like a dead man. You were ordered to die? For what reason? The man looks at you. But some would choose to leave the righteous path. These earned penance in due time. Her whip sings vengeance on renegade menace. Her blade passes sentence. For cowards seek to hide their hearts, but death makes no pretendence. It takes what it is due in essence. He stops, then adds hoarsely, the third verse of the Song of Trailing Blood. The Vizier recited it to me before sending me on my final assignment. I didn't realize at the time that it was my judgment. There were plenty of reasons. I sowed death. I offered him the souls of the most pleasing men and women I could find because it kindled my passions. I killed well-off crewmen who didn't deserve their wealth. And I took their thrones. I killed enforcers who looked into my eyes without fear, because I wanted to be feared. I reveled in bloodshed. I betrayed the tenants. I realized it, but I couldn't help it, because I enjoyed it. Oh, you poor thing. I think I'm gonna cry. You couldn't stop slicing people up. That must have been so hard for you. Even my whispers have nothing to say to a pathetic tale like that. I bet they're thinking, what a lousy, self-absorbed sack of scum. Idira is just so savage. She is just so savage. Alright. Let's see here. You were disgusted. I will not grant you the release of Craig. Have you killed any more innocent souls since he ran? No. I've been afraid to touch my own knife since that day. Thought it might just stab me on its own, but the temptation is always there. You do not sound particularly remorseful. I spent years in remorse. I'm tired of it. You are a coward and a butcher of the innocents. I will not judge you, nor will I decide your fate. Farewell, you are disgusting. I will grant you the release you crave so much. May you live on in suffering, fearful every shadow. You are a coward and a butcher of the innocents. I will purge my ship of your existence. The man does nothing to stop you. He even leans closer to the rails, accepting his fate with a smile on his face. The undying one is death. God damn. Cabela stares at the remains of he who was once her brother in service. Truly, it is better to die for him than to live for yourself. This he forgot. I didn't do it for you, I did it for myself. I'm not sure what that does. I thought it would actually kind of ward off the nightmare shit a little bit, but I don't know. Horrors of the war. If the target suffers -5 to weapon skill, ballistic skill, willpower, strength, and 1 resolve per difficulty of the daemon for 1 round. Okay, so that's just if I were to build it up. If I were to actually sit down and build it up. Oh, that's a psychic power rating. Interesting. I didn't know they had a separate... Well, actually, no, it did mention that in the tutorial bit.
Is there money to be made?
I am your shadow.
Fate and fortune favor the bold.
What was it? Alt F? That's the pause. There's a ship. There we go. It was backspace apparently.
Always keep your eye on the price.
So, now that's done, what do I do? Wait a minute. Did I have to go all that way just to get this mark over here? The boot print has smudged this symbol slightly. The trail leads towards the slums.
I always keep my options.
One thing I didn't do was go down here, right? I'll try going down here now. Blindfolded man, that's guard. That old man in pitiful rags listens intently. Listens intently to the sound of your footsteps. A stinking piece of cloth is wrapped around his eyes, with greenish pus oozing out from under it. The old man lays his trembling hands protectively on the heap of junk that serves as his bed as well as his table. An empty beggar's mug makes a clinking sound next to his withered leg. Throw a strip of dried ration meat into his mug. Here, have something to eat. What happened to your eyes? The void rats gnawed them out while I was asleep, and the sewer water my wounds were washed with was infected. Turns out, the pain became a stinging feeling that wouldn't go away, and only got worse. How does a blind old man manage to survive in a place like this? People help me. Good people. Not so good ones, too. He sweeps his withered arm vacantly around the slums. Throw a strip of dried rations meat into his mug. Here, have something to eat. The old man ravenously sinks his remaining teeth into the meat's tough fibers, but soon gives up on chewing and swallows the piece whole. Could this be a true miracle of the Emperor? Or is it just another dream? Leave the old man be.
Success is the only outcome I accept.
These crates are typically used to transport weapons, the worn-away markings making it impossible to determine where the shipment came from, and the scuffed surface indicates that the crates have been moved frequently. The day the Lord Captain wandered into our slum will be remembered in legends. The broad-shouldered man raises a hand in greeting. His old prosthetic creaks plaintively as it takes the weight of his body. The locals and the enforcers call me the foreman. I have no other name. You might say I'm in charge here, in this hole of a place. You recognize the shaggy red beard and the keen black eyes. This is the man who was watching you during your encounter with the enforcer and the station worker. I saw you near the marketplace. What were you doing there? Watching one of my workers taking a beating. I feel sorry for the lad, but there was nothing I could do. The foreman smiles wryly, showing his yellow teeth. Almost all of the front ones have been knocked out. I've stuck my neck out in the past. Not doing it again. Tell me what life is like with the workers on the lower decks. They toil day in and day out for the glory of the ship. The rest of the time, they do their best to survive. Faced with the hunger, the more deranged of the enforcers, void leprosy, fires, floods, noxious fumes. The foreman lists these on his fingers, although he has fewer than nature's average to work with. In a word, it's a decent enough life. It's a decent enough life. It's a decent enough life. If you work, you survive. If you freeload, you also survive. If you're clever. Well, and if the God Emperor wills it. What are you cooking in that vat? Believe it or not, this soup made from mold slime and technical drain water has been simmering here in this vat for at least 200 years non-stop. See the growth on the walls over there? We harvest it, dry it, and use it to season the soup. If we are lucky, the smell attracts a void rat, and someone gets to have meat in their bowl. The foreman points a finger proudly toward the vat. It's for those who can't even earn a ration card. I feed them in exchange for services or favors. Sometimes it pays off, and sometimes it doesn't. My people keep an eye out for workers trying to eat 2 bowls in one sitting. One is enough to fill your stomach for an entire watch. Some complain about the taste, of course. Ingrates. Let's see. Okay. Give the foreman a pile of ration cards. Hand these out to the people. You'll know who needs them most. He opens and closes his mouth in astonishment. Lord Captain, you've just helped some good families survive. I'll divide the cards among them, and be sure to tell them that it was your lordship who did them this good turn. Give me some of that soup as well. Let my servants see that any food is a great blessing. I don't think that's a good idea. Mold slime is something of an acquired taste. It takes 2 years, maybe 3 for your stomach to get used to it. Lord Captain, you must be joking, surely. As if he's serious as a void kraken. I will follow your advice and not take the risk. The foreman breathes a sigh of relief. The last thing we need is to poison the Lord Captain, Emperor forbid. I seek the Bloodspun Web's temple. Do you know where it is? The cultists don't let people like me in on their rites and mysteries. I'm grateful to them for their service. The God Emperor, but... to be honest, I can't get behind their love of death. I'm much too fond of living. Aren't we all? Lord Captain, I beg another second of your attention. Please accept this humble gift from us, the common people of the Bay, for all the good you do us. The most precious thing we could get for your lordship. Hidden auto-stimulant. If the wearer did not move during their turn or become immobilized, slowed, stunned, or knocked prone, they gain temporary wounds equal to 6. If the wearer has conviction, Iconoclast, all their allies immediately gain the same number of temporary hit points. Neat. All right. The food vat is protected from the vicious, hungry crowd by equally vicious thugs wielding makeshift weapons. Lush yellow-green moss covers the walls of the slums, seeming to especially favor the warm, moist pipes, judging by the marks. The people here regularly shear off the moss, only for it to grow back again. More cards. The longer you stare at the mark, the quieter the sounds of the station become. The shadow grow longer and seem to stretch in the direction of the adjacent section. We're edging closer and closer to where we need to be. Boy, everything's in the fucking way here.
What?
No, it's trapped. Alright.
I better myself through my service.
Neat. Crumbled piece of paper. Give our gift to the one who sees nothing but hears everything. Then the truth will be revealed to you.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
The consequence of a terrible crash on monorail LD 987 half a century ago are still affecting the efficiency of this stretch of railway. The stench of decaying bodies creeps into your throat and lungs, forming a sticky... The sick and broken are herded to die of their various diseases. Don't touch anything. In lungs, forming a sticky film lining your airways. So the sick stay here. Fascinating.
Let us not dawdle.
Stop being so bloody difficult. What's that thing the death cultists say? Your time has come, or what have you? No, please, what did I do? Talk about being everywhere at once. How about we take this stuff to the marketplace? We'll get to eat soup tonight.
Keep your wits about you.
Could I have prevented that? The specimens before you must be the most repellent inhabitants in the compartment. They are covered in stores and bald patches, glistening with pus, and the stench of unwashed bodies brings a tear to your eye. One of them glowers at you and grunts, "What you want?" "For what crime did you kill this man?" Grinning, the leader spits out, "For the crime of wealth. That dead bastard had rations and fuel cells. We'll trade them for porridge." "I am the Lord Captain of this ship. On your knees, insolent scum." The outcast looks at another and bursts into hoarse, gurgling cackles. "The Lord Captain at our shithole. And I'm Same Drusus. And here's my regalia." The man exposes an armpit riddled with boils. Argenta towers over the freak, looking immaculate and unaffected. "Even meeting wretched heretics such as this brings me joy. Wiping out even a drop of corruption is still a worthy deed." Awareness test succeeded. You detect a note of hysteria in the vagrant's laughter. The fingers of many are convulsing, trembling, and there is something in the fearless way they look at you, an indifference to death, too strange and unnatural. What are you, mutants? Invalids? Mold eaters, outcasts, folk who have no place even among the lowest of the low. Some were born that way. Some were driven out to keep them from spreading the contagion. The foremen won't let us near the vat. The enforcers try to shoot us on sight, as if it's our fault that we were born in a terrible place. We are worms in the rotten belly of the ship, fodder for the disease. Lore warp test failed. The outcast licks his lips and you see a tongue studded with small, underdeveloped teeth. This is no disease, but an obvious mutation. You are sentenced to death for committing murder on my ship. The mutant bears his black stumps that are his teeth. We'll gut you and trade what you have on you for a pile of scran. Hey, outcast, come on up if you want a share of the spoils.
You will be.
Oh boy.
Beg for mercy, but I will grant none.
Your Emperor won't save you!
Okay. Argenta. Yeah, I'll move her back a little bit. I'll go back to me. Move myself right here. No, that's Cabela. All right. That should be good enough. All right. Signature throwing of the bullshit.
The shadows will see it done. As honor ordains.
There we go.
Trust me. As honor ordains.
Alright, he's almost dead.
Chaos guides me.
Oh, there's guys behind us now, too. And to the side of us. Okay. Let's go ahead and use this.
Was that you? Or
You might want to use this, and this might be dangerous, but we'll try.
Anything
We'll
else?
just do it. All right, good. Nothing bad happened. We're good. All right. So I see a potential problem here. Let me just go ahead. Let me see. Let's go ahead and just start firing, shall we? All right.
As the Emperor commands, I act.
I am very concerned about Idira, so we're moving up. Outcast, outcast. I'll attack this guy because he's the closest thing. Why is this bolter out of ammo?
Rejoice in Each strike is a prayer.
What the hell is that? Revel and slaughter. Oh, that's something else.
Doubt is for the weak.
All right.
Out of my way! I serve the ruinous powers!
Let's see here.
I don't need luck. I have strategy.
A waste of blood.
Some shots are able to pierce through enemies and deal damage not only to them, but also to the characters standing behind them. The armor penetration parameter is found on most weapons and affects how much damage the target takes, as well as determines the chance of overpenetration. Some weapons have overpenetration parameters, which depends on the type of weapon, the value of the weapon, and the weapon's armor penetration parameter, and the character's talents. In case of overpenetration, characters standing behind the target will receive less damage. Deal a little damage not only to them, but also to the character standing behind them. Almost got them.
It's done.
What is done cannot be undone.
All right. Alright, when's his... Actually, that doesn't seem to matter.
I've seen worse battles than this in my time.
Alright.
At your beck and call.
Trust me,
Who even taught you to fight like this?
death is a blessing. Come, the other side awaits.
Neat. Alright, we did it.
I will endure.
Oh, is that gas poisonous? It must be. It explains why they took damage. I can't exactly move as a result of this gas. I'm gonna try moving. Yeah. No. Alright. Precise attack. For the next attack against the target affected by the exploit, that target's coverage.
But of course. Will do.
Nice. The operative immediately inflicts one exploit on an enemy in combat, then makes a free attack against the target. That attack always hits. The gun's on the right hand. Alright.
If only you knew what awaits you.
Nice. Now I just gotta figure out a way to get out of this shit.
Was that you? Or
I forget that reloading does that. Okay. What does momentum do? Oh, that's what that is. Okay.
As the Emperor this is why I was chosen.
All right.
Chaos guides me. Chaos. Out of my way. Doom.
All right, Cornelius. It's all up to you now. Kinda, sorta. I wonder why this does more damage to him. I mean, I'm using a las pistol. Same as the other one. I don't know. 85%, 85%. I'm gonna use that precise shot. If I can manage to kill this guy, it's one less problem. There we go.
You never stood a chance.
Follow my lead.
Does 3 to 5. I can't strike him from here, unfortunately.
It will be done. Victory is imminent.
Yeah, I could have used that, but I'm not gonna now. So you can make 2 attacks if you had 2 weapons in hand, which is nice. Could I make that leap from here? I do wonder that. Yes, I could. Fascinating. Okay, so. What if I move here? Yeah, that'll work. But I'll hit that guy. And he's standing in that square. I can't actually make this move, which is unfortunate.
I cannot serve you in this way.
There needs to be a line of sight? Well, that's unfortunate as well. Okay.
A dance of blades and shadows.
No line of sight still. Alright. Well, in that case... nothing I can do, really, except just move forward.
I am your blade and shield.
Ugh, my faith shields me.
Anything else? Will do.
23, 26. This one's a guaranteed hit, though. How about now? 79. I'm just gonna stab you. Nice. Because at least that way I was guaranteed to do the maximum amount of damage.
High momentum.
Okay.
I'll do it.
There we go.
None can escape the Emperor's judgment. As the Emperor commands, I act.
Chances of hit are 0, zilch. All right, let's do it.
Guided by faith. In thy light I stand, and thy light I crave.
Almost got him.
Each strike is a prayer.
Nice.
Faith without deeds is worthless.
I missed. All right. Until the end of combat, the soldier gains the following bonus ballistics, critical hit chance, among other things.
I'll do it.
Death to the weak! I serve the ruinous powers! I'll see to it personally.
Let's see. $13 to $16. I don't understand that. How much damage do you do? 6 to 8? I wonder what it is about you that does more damage. $29. It's not good enough. We'll just stick with this.
make it happen. I'll see to it personally. It's as good as...
All right. Okay.
A tactically sound approach.
Okay, so the squares are labeled, so that's nice to know. Okay.
Indeed. Grey hair, sure hair.
As the tenants demand. As honor ordains.
Okay.
The shadows will see it done. Death is a blessing. Killing brings me no pleasure.
Oh, that's interesting. It makes you fly back. That's kind of cool, actually. Okay, let's move you out of there.
There is movement in the Empyrean. Anything else? On it.
Alright, one well-placed shot should do it.
God Emperor, move through me! Be the fire in my heart! Doubt is for the weak. As the Emperor commands, I act.
That's very unfortunate.
This is unacceptable.
There is only death.
You're telling me.
Yours or mine.
Taking calculated risk is in my second nature.
Did it just heal? An injury received from a trap sudden large amount of damage. If not removed from the med kit, it will turn into an old injury. Okay. When dying, this creature creates a black cloud that heals its allies and damages its enemies until the end of a combat. Oh, so that's what's happening here. It's gonna be some time before it's fucking next turn, so...
I will do my
Nice.
reduce to dust.
Oh boy. Got a lot of crap weapons in here. Rathodrosis. And the second weapon? I don't remember. Actually, I think the second weapon is just kind of shit. Anyways. Throw it all in there. Alright. What's done is done. Relished Anguish. At the end of the wearer's turn, they gain temporary wounds equal to the amount of collision inflicted by the wearer this turn. Yeah, pretty much. From attacks, ranged or melee weapons, as well as from other abilities calculated the same way, there are several factors involved. Okay. She is the one whose tech I do end up relying on.
Is there money to be made?
The mold is dotted with Gorlanger tendrils that ooze slime. Sick people who are still alive but can no longer walk are the mold's favorite choice of host to grow on and suck the last of the life's juices from them. Okay.
The Vicia. Would he be proud? Am I?
This man is suffering from a severe but curable disease. One vial of medicine administered at the early stage would have saved him. No one finds the courage to approach the bodies of these outcasts, their rotting flesh and cartilage bearing the marks of void disease. Man, this place is a real shithole. This is the next person to talk to, it looks like. Hmm.
Over there!
Fortune smiles on us. An ill omen.
Traps, traps galore.
Never doubt me. The Emperor favors me today. I better myself through my service.
Idea?
Order.
Crimson Oblivion. If worn by a death cult assassin, whenever the wearer kills an enemy, that enemy explodes in a fountain of blood. The cells nearby are covered in blood as if affected by blood file. Martyr's Bone Charm. If worn by a death cult assassin, when the wearer gains a stack of blood blessed, they also gain 10 plus toughness for 2 rounds. Does not stack. Crimson Intoxicant. The user loses all of their temporary wounds and increases their melee damage by the same amount for 1 round. Got a lot of shit for you, Cabela, suddenly. The robe soaks blood with pus, their teeth and nails have fallen out, and their shrunken skin is covered in abscess. It's amazing that things can be this bad.
I always keep my options open.
Alright. Let's go do this. Sedina, the outcast. A figure in decaying tatters is rocking to and fro, muttering indistinctly in several different voices, occasionally breaking into hoarse laughter as you come closer. She freezes and turns slowly to look at you. An ugly, rusted mask covers her face. Are you here to take Sedina to the other side? No. No. No, no. You're just wandering around in the dark, looking for the light, but it's somewhere to be found. Do you really not see it? Who are you? Old Sedina. Sedina the outcast. Sedina the mad. Sedina the disaster. Sedina the curse. Sedina the spurned. The woman hugs her arms to her chest and starts cackling loud. Broken chains clink at her emaciated wrists and neck. A ghost of the past, a shadow of the present. Only the Undying One knows, he alone. What is this repulsive place? Do you live here? The woman scratches her neck nervously. You note her deformed fingers ravaged by some unknown disease. Here, where the unfortunate meet their undeath. Here, a dumping ground for the bodies of those Undying One rejects. Here, where the pestilence dwells, Zadina welcomes them all, talks to their ghosts. Here, where Zadina lives? Yes, that sounds right. You talk to ghosts. You can't hear them? Zadina points somewhere off to the side, laughs, then stops herself sharply. They don't like it when people come here. Lord Captain, this woman is clearly ill in both spirit and body. Best to leave her be. Why are you wearing chains and a mask? You haven't escaped from the enforcers, have you? Ah, these gifts. They are. The chains clink to announce Zadina's approach, for others to hear. She slides her disease-darkened palm down the rough, rusted metal of her mask. They hide, fearful of becoming like Zadina, afraid of losing face. There is a blood symbol next to you. I have seen such markings before. Is this another part of the song of trailing blood? Zadina bursts into hysterical laughter. Oh yes. Oh yes. The song. Here, listen, listen. The woman starts chanting hurriedly. She wandered in eternity in dark, yet was consoled. Web foretold, Undying One's blood secrets glowed, a light to guide her fateful fold. But threads must end, and so the spider did that which was owed, her life and death to ship bestowed. She laughs again, and you'll see if you learn to see. Look into the darkness, look. Peer into the darkness. I cannot fathom what I am meant to see here. You peer into the darkness, and are gradually able to make out the outlines of objects in the shadows. Rotting corpses, rough walls, the twitching death throes of infected people left here to die. See no light in this place, only more darkness and despair. You don't see, do you? You don't see. Zadina shakes her head frantically and starts tearing off her rags. Strips of her decaying flesh peel off along with them. You will not see until you become like Zadina, the flesh and blood of this ship. How do I become the flagship's blood? Oh, Zadina will show you, and you'll see the true light. Come now. This is just getting better and better. No.
Let us not dawdle.
She didn't die. She made it through the blades without dying. The rotating blades promise nothing but a senseless and brutal death. Slipping past them would require some unreasonably precise calculations, or just blind luck. While listening to the air currents for a moment, you think you hear Zadina's whispered prayer rising from the depths of the shaft. Requires dogmatic follower. Requires heretical follower. Let's see. With Abelard here, I can make it. Alright, I'll try it. Temple of the Bloodspun Web. Death cultists are sacred executioners who worship the Emperor through slaughter and bloodshed. Their grim faith and chilling rituals instill superstitious dread in ordinary people. I'm alone, huh? Great, and according to the game, I am infected. That's wonderful. Okay. To 3 different enemies, a soldier gains 20% more damage for their next attack in the current combat. 2 AP less. The first reload in a combat does not cost AP. Is increased by 10% for full cover and 20% for half cover. Death cultist. Bows his head reverently.
Keep your wits about you.
Athletics, 60%. I mean... Alright.
That's how it's done.
Yeah, there we go.
Is there money to be made?
There's a large holes in the compartment ceilings. The spinners have dismantled the bulkheads to expand their temple even higher.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
That was a little weird. Alright, even lower now. Tangles of impoverished bridges. Improvised bridges. Tangles of improvised bridges constructed from beams and flooring stretch even ever higher, not unlike a web. The temple is growing as if it were a living organism. We're getting further and further to figuring out what the hell's going on.
I always keep my options open.
Cold stone sarcophagi serves as the death cultist beds. The bones of their deceased comrades are their bedding.
I always have a backup plan. I'll learn from this mistake.
Did I hurt myself? Fatigued. Each stacks inflicted 10, negative 10.
I always get the job done.
Let's try that again. I would just let it be, but, you know.
Success is the only outcome I accept.
Alright, what do I get? Spinner's Blade. Good. Bloody Pact? Crimson Rage. Looks like I got more shit for her. Is this gonna give me, like, a bonus, like, specialization to spec into if I decide to do so? Oh, my companions are here. Wonderful. The Death Cultist bows his head reverently.
Keep your wits about you.
Crimson torrent flows from the statue's hands, a symbol of the countless deaths offered up in his name. Vizier of the Bloodspun Web. A frail old man, gray beard tinged with blood, folds his wrinkled hands in a ritual gesture. His body is covered in scars, some old, some fresh. His eyes are sewn tightly shut. His mouth is cleft at both corners, making his jaw seem eerily snake-like. And the Lord of the Ark walked the paths of unlife, in the footsteps of the web's very first spinner, and the servants of death bowed before him, for the Doman is the giver of life. The old man goes still, his head turned to the side. He nods. The temple's muffled silence. Yes. Yes. The truth. Like a stream pours from your lips. We will welcome him, as the tenets demand. A servant of death who sees beyond the threshold. A spider who spins a cocoon at the end of his thread. Adira shakes her head and clutches her temples. Sorry about that. It just came over me. I didn't say anything too weird, did I? A thin blade appears in the old man's trembling hands, although his arms are stiff and look like they can barely bend. In the next instant, the dynasty symbol is etched on his forehead, dripping blood. With a brief motion, he flicks the blood off his blade, and several drops land on his face, on your face. Ew. The blood-spun web welcomes its new lord. I am the Vizier. For many years we have waited, and now you are here. We waited. Whispers echo his words from the shadows. Why is it you invited me here? Death whispered your name and commanded us to honor you with a sacred ritual, but only inside the temple can the spinners perform it. The Vizier is suddenly distracted by someone invisible and nods toward empty space. Yes, We are glad he has reached this place. We are glad to serve. What do you mean, you have waited for many years? Was it not so long ago that I made my acquaintance with the cult? As I delve into my divinations from the flesh and blood of the departed ones, I turn to a relic most ancient and priceless. It is his tarot, inherited by the cult from the matriarch spider who spun the first thread. One of the readings I did back when I still had the strength to leave the temple and usher souls on their final journey. That was when, in the intricate tangle of destiny, I glimpsed our meeting. But when we would meet, alas, was not revealed to me. So we waited, year after year, and now, the hour has come. Vizier? Is that some sort of title? It is the name we give to the first spinner, the one who has learnt the wisdom of the tenets of the web in order to lead others. I may have a duty to instruct and spin bloody threads, but in all other ways I am as much his servant and at yours as anyone else in this temple. So you just walked my companions in here the normal way while I was forced to take that jump? The spinners guide them along a different trail. You had to take the step, for only you were meant to become the flagship's blood, Doman. There was no reason to test the faith of those who follow you, for this burden was for their lord to bear. How did you manage to erect an entire temple in the middle of a ship without anyone noticing? Followers of the cult once inhabited the tunnels between the bays, bulkheads, until the threads of the fates were tangled and a Doman of ages past gave us the compartment. We set ourselves to build spacious halls where the shadows, the images of him, and the spinners themselves would whisper of death. And thus the temple that you see began to change with the succession of the viziers and the cult's generations. We are building it still, slowly but surely. I have walked the path of the matriarch spider. What now? The song of trailing blood tells of a path fraught with trials. By accepting it and setting out on that path, you pass the first one, the trial of resolve. For not everyone is prepared to shun their fear and doubt and embark on a search for the unknown, a search for death. The trial of compassion was the second one. You passed it when you put yourself, albeit briefly, in the service of another soul. A man suffering from burns. For the choice between life and death is to be made only by those willing to take responsibility for the pain of another. The third was the trial of justice. In assuming the role of judge for an apostate of our faith, you declared your right to influence the balance of life and death that the errant soul had upset. And the fourth was the trial of duty. For duty always leads to death. We are prepared to render our duty to the Undying One, fearless and accepting of our purpose, which is to serve him. You, too, have proven yourself prepared, and the fourth trial have brought you here. Were the trials truly necessary? Would not a conversation have sufficed? The Vizier bows his head guiltily. Such are the tenets of the web. They are all we have ever known, and the only life we have ever learned to live. The path you walked was a gift from the Undying One, and so we decided that was how we were to honor you. The Vizier's stone-shut eyes seem to peer into your face, studying it. Then he turns away and speaks into the empty space again. Peace, my brother. The time has almost come. Who is it you talk to all the time? The Vizier turns his head as if looking around the temple. I see echoes of those who came before us and those who were with us. but have since crossed over to the other side. My brothers and sisters raised by the cult, I hear them from beyond their deaths. They share their wisdom. I heed them. The other spinners, they hear not, for that burden is mine to bear. I see your eyes are sewn shut. Are you blind, or is that another of the cult's rituals? I was cited for much of my life until a disciple of mine violated the tenets, and I realized just how blind I had been. A lesson, but a bitter one. To look with one's eyes alone is to be easily fooled, but the heart cannot be lied to. Such is the truth, and such was my choice. I sealed my eyelids with a geas of true sight. A geas of true sight. Now I see more and better. So this entire conversation is another test, I imagine. A smile graces the vizier's bluish lips. The tenants command us to be prepared for all trials, corporeal and spiritual alike. Are you prepared, Domin Cornelius? His mouth closes, but you can still hear his whispers. A prickling sensation in your face is making you increasingly anxious. You raise a hand to your cheek, only to realize you can't feel it. You look at your palm and see a few smudged drops of blood from the vizier's blade. Even the goddamn game is looking bizarre. Strange, serene calm envelops your body. Your fatigue subsided, and you seem to float in the air, seeing things you had not noticed before. The shadows in the corner taking on shape and color. The subdued lumen light playing on the cultist bone masks. Are they really masks? They're tall, lean, empty-eyed wearers might as well be dead people. A chill runs down your spine. What is the meaning of this? Succeeded. Your heart is beating slowly, your breathing has become deeper, and your thoughts are muddled. You seem to be under the influence of a potent stimulant. Look around the temple. You poisoned me somehow, did you not? The vizier nods meekly. My blood is infused with a concoction taken by those who follow the thread. It is a sacred and harmless to us, but you it befogs and afflicts. And yet, Dolmen Cornelius, you have grasped that the mind may fail the body and the senses. This was the trial of spiritual acumen. You have passed it. Look around the temple. One moment the walls of Death's Sanctum grow infinitely wide. The next, they are so narrow as to make it hard to breathe. The floor dances around your feet, under your feet, and the undying Emperor's statue seems to shake its head threateningly as it looks down upon you. And what happens now? That is for you to tell me. You look at the vizier, and his trembling frame seems small and insignificant. A single step is all it would take to crush him. But the visions are starting to wear off, and now the old man towers over you. The keen gaze of his sealed eyes is studying your every movement, waiting for your response. First, you are going to give me the antidote. Now you are going to initiate me as a servant of death. If I were to join the cult of death, that might be beneficial for me, actually. At least this way I can actually keep them from being stupid. Alright, let me see here. Now you are going to initiate me as a servant of death. A servant of death. Hiss the echoing whispers from the temple, and the vizier bows his head reverently. You have become the blood of the flagship. Now you will become one of his faithful servants. We may not name you a spinner, for a spinner's thread demands the forsaking of one's previous life, but the blood-spun web will still accept you. The tenants allow it, but only for a dolmen who has followed the trailing blood until the end. Upon the ritual platform, at the Undying Emperor's feet, under the keen gaze of his dark, empty eye sockets, you feel completely insignificant. Surprisingly, the thick blood pouring from his hands onto your brow, chest, and shoulders is still warm. Bowed before his image, the Vizier assumes the ceremonial postures with incredible ease, his withered body moving swiftly and soundlessly. You are slowly plunged into darkness to the sound of ritual chants and swooshing blades. Amid the noise of splashing blood and the cultist whispers, you hear the words, "Death has spoken. Your name, Dolmen Cornelius. Death accepts you." A familiar whisper is scratching at the periphery of your consciousness, or is it an inner voice? Even if he hears you, what does he care? He did not save Theodora. He will not save you either. You are not his chosen one. But what if you offer a prayer to the gods that are truly immortal, the ones who do not hold back with their gifts, the ones who are always willing to accept you? Taste the blood. Offer a prayer to the Undying Emperor. Look up into the face of the Undying Emperor statue. Whisper words of corruption. Wipe the blood off your face with disgust. When is this going to end? Look up into the face of the Undying Emperor's statue. Blood falls into your eyes. You hiss in pain, but raise your head. Through a red mist, you glimpse a harsh truth in the Emperor's face. Death sees you. Death is watching you. Could the lingering intoxication still be playing tricks on your mind? This strange rash you developed in the freight line's pestilence pit grows pale and scabs over. A healing grace descends upon you. Gain 52 experience. Vizier of the Bloodspun Web. The Vizier's voice grows suddenly thunderous and snaps you out of your reflection. Death has accepted you, Dolmen Cornelius. Now and for all time, you are the Blood Warden and the Undying One's most venerable servant. Blood Warden. Very flattering. I will add it to my other titles. Now that you are part of the blood-spun web, remember henceforth to beware of vanity, for it leaves gaping rents in the armor of our souls. It felt as if the God Emperor was watching me. To many, he comes during their time of service, in images of blood and whispers from the shadows. But remember that those are mere visions, for true death will not come for you until your time, and it will take your soul gently in its bony hands. So the ritual is complete. The ritual is complete, but you are not. The Vizier gestures for one of the cultists who is carefully holding a strange garment to come closer. For years we have maintained the fealty to the Domini. We have collected sacred symbols and relics. You are the first of 3 generations of lords and ladies to grace this sanctum, and the first of them all to be initiated, so we are grateful. We are uplifted in spirit. Hear our exultation, and accept this gift of a vestment sewn from the bones of his faithful with the threads of death. Spinner's Ritual Vestment. Armor 30. Character wearing this armor will dodge 19% of average enemy attacks in this chapter. This armor reduces the incoming damage of average enemy attacks in this chapter by 15%. The cultists whisper prayers to the Undying One as they help you change your clothes and regain your faculties. To become the flagship's blood, you became the spinner of the blood spin web. That was a lot. Let's see. There's no dodge penalty for this. That's actually pretty dope. Okay, what about you, though? What is her strength bonus? 25? That's kind of dog shit, actually. It is meant for me, and it does seem pretty decent. So I'll wear it. Hang on, I'm not done yet. Alright, I think we're done there. Fine. Moving on. Cabela. 8 to 10. 8 to 10. There we go. Add to cargo, add to cargo. Alright. Well, we got that out of the way. That was fascinating. A bit of a ritualistic thing, but we managed to get through it, and it was pretty cool. I honestly wasn't sure what I was expecting going through this, but I'm a little bit sold on this. This DLC was fascinating. I guess the only next thing to do and ask is just, what the hell am I doing now? I would like it if everybody shows up over here, please. Let's also get everybody's levels out of the way. Okay. Athletic. Next. Okay. Whenever the warrior stacks, they gain 1+ stack of Epicenter of Slaughter until the end of combat. At the start of their turn, the warrior gains 1 temporary wound for each stack. These temporary wounds cannot exceed 6. Additional 3+ to enemies that have no allies in adjacent cells. The warrior's critical damage is increased by 8 against enemies not armed with a melee weapon. If the warrior has less than 50% wounds, they gain 14% critical hit chance. Epicenter of Slaughter. Complete. Alright. Attacks an enemy that is full of wounds. That attack deals 15% more damage to that enemy. We'll take that. Choose common talent. Alright, this is Psyker shit. At the beginning of every combat, the Psyker's allies gain 15% critical hit chance. The first critical hit removes the effect. Flawless plan. Every 9th successful dodge and or parry by the Psyker and their allies combined grants the Psyker 2+ additional AP on the next turn. Predicted downfall. The first dodge attempt of every enemy in combat suffers a 14% penalty. Unnatural luck. When the Psyker uses divination psychic powers on an ally without unnatural luck effect, that ally gains unnatural luck. When the ally suffers a critical hit, it becomes a normal hit instead, and the unnatural luck effect is removed. We're gonna go with predicted downfall. When a soldier deals damage, their critical damage is increased by 1%. We're gonna go with rapid reload because it's gonna be kind of annoying if I have to spend a lot of AP just to use it. In which the soldier is protected by cover at the moment of the attack. Rapid reload. Alright. Blade Dancer. Increased demolition. Be smart, contagious luck, jinx, and just a flesh wound. Fellowship bonus. A voidborn character can instead use the intelligence bonus if it is higher. On ally grants the ally ability to reroll any failed attack, dodge, parry, characteristic, or skill test with a 20% chance of success for 1 round. Bloodborne character has more than 50% wounds. All chances of all creatures, including enemies, in a 3-cell radius are increased by within a 3-cell radius are increased by 10%, while a Voidborn character has less than 50% wounds. All chances of all creatures, including enemies, in a 3-cell radius are decreased by 10%. It has a 20% chance to survive after suffering lethal damage, surviving with 1 wound. Okay. We're gonna go with contagious luck, I think. Alright, that's done and over with. The smoke tickles your nostrils, making you slightly dizzy. Such substances are known to induce visions or hallucinations. Vizier of the Bloodspun Web. The Vizier head trembles with the infirmity of age, and his lips utter barely audible words meant for those only he can see. Doman Cornelius has honored us with a visit. We are glad. First Spinner. Peace, Cabela. You are the shield. You are the shadow. You are the blade. So be them. Have you stopped killing people as I ordered? A prohibition imposed by the Lord of the Ark, against which we are powerless. To serve with honor is the rule of the web commands us to follow. A spinner must be prepared for any test of their faith. It is difficult, but faithful we stay. Your traditions and rituals are rooted in blood and death. Many are frightened by that. Many are blind even with their eyes wide open. Thus spoke the matriarch spider. People look at things without seeing their essence, which makes them easy to beguile or frighten. We adorn the tunnels with the bones of the righteous, that they may guard our faithful against the corrupt deeds and thoughts. We use the blood of the unholy ones for divination, so we may see dangers. The blood of martyrs is our wine, for their suffering makes us stronger. People are afraid, but only because they see death as the end. Death, however, is a beginning. It is a life in duty and oblivion. Death has many facets. That is its essence. That is its beauty. What are the tenets of the bloodspun web? I want clear answers. Every thread ends in death. The vizier falls silent, as though those words have explained everything. Then he nods towards empty space. Yes, I see he is still full of questions. Let us give him answers about our ways, my brothers and sisters. What is your supreme commandment? To give and receive death, and to fear no twist or turn of fate. One who is afraid of death is already dead in their soul, waiting for the end, afraid to accept the inevitable. The life of fear is disgraceful. The true service is in dedicating oneself to death with no regrets. What do your tenets say about human weaknesses? The smallest stain of rot is enough to ruin the most beautiful woven pattern. Weakness is a gateway into the soul, one we hold open for new failings. It is born of desire. Kill your desires, and your weakness will die along with them. The followers of the web are skillful fighters. What is your secret? The vizier smiles gently. I cannot share the full wealth of my knowledge, for it has taken me a lifetime to learn, but I can share this foremost lesson with you. Be guided by reason, not fury, when you fight, and seek no pleasure in killing. That is how you will win. I see. The vizier is once again distracted by the empty space to his left. I will take my leave now. We will meet again, Doman, when the threads of fate weave a bloody pattern. These guys are fucking crazy, bro. But man, is it kind of gnarly. Alright. Boy, so that was the DLC for this cult. I'm kind of curious as to whether or not there's more to it. Dolmen Cornelius, the Undying One, has whispered that you would honor the Temple of Death with a visit. We are ready to serve. Underneath the ancient relic is a stone plaque with an inscription carved. If you value life above your duty, you are not worthy of life, Vizier Geophrenus. Blood Drinker. Whenever the wearer makes a melee attack, they regain 1 wound. That's fucking useful. Guess who's getting it?
Always keep your eye on the prize.
I guess now the real question is where do I go from here and how do I get the fuck out? I guess I'll go this way. And that's where I came from. That's where I acquired that weird shit. And this is the exit. The spinner, his face covered in carved, bleeding glyphs, makes a respectful gesture of invitation. Let me show you the way, Doman. Take me to the Enforcer. In charge of the freight line hub. I have business with him. I remember reading that this thing said that it had 15 hours worth of content, so we'll see how far this will get us. Oh, okay. Hang on. I'm seeing a problem now. Because it's having a hard time reading my facial movements. It's because it's kind of dark in here. Give me 1 second. I am back. Okay, let's do this. Captain Frenzo has acquired a few wounds since your last conversation. Half of his ear is gone, and you notice that he is wearing bloodied bandages under his uniform. Seeing you, he quickly injects himself with a stimulant and straightens. How may I serve you, Lord Captain? Were you in a shootout? Yes, there's been a raid on the local gain. We've finally cleared out the scoundrels who were smuggling goods to neighboring compartments. No one escaped. Frenzo permits himself a brief smile of grim satisfaction. I have finished inspecting this bay. The captain raises a weary eyebrow. Will there be any orders based on the inspection's conclusion? Oh man, there's a lot of answers to give. Let's start with the ones that I'm not specking into. Only harsh measures will bring us order to, let's see, dogmatic. Only harsh measures will bring order to the bay. Establish an execution quota. Strip all corrupt enforcers of their rank. Burn away all crime. Any idlers are to be given a job. And if they cannot do anything useful, servitorius them. Organize mandatory sermons. Spread the word of the faith. Heretical. Smile insinuatingly. The source of all of this compartment's woes are hunger and poverty, which are driving those people to commit petty crimes. I'm sure you would have done something by now. But there are certain rules you have to follow that are simply too limiting. Isn't that right? Alright, let's go with the actual answer now. The workers are to be provided with everything they need to service the freight line properly. Food and medicine will be delivered to the bay, and you are to demote any enforcer found to be abusing their authority to the status of workers. The captain needs a moment to handle this confusion. Orders? Understood. Destiny Hunter gained the ability, Educated Labor. The flagship's hull integrity is increased by 10+. The plating of all sectors of the flagship is increased by 1. The freight line workers study to the best of their ability, applying newly attained knowledge for the betterment of the ship. Thanks to their efforts, the logistical operations of the engineering bays have become more efficient, which has opened up new opportunities for fortifying the ship's hull. Enforcers have been appropriating ration cards from workers returning from their ships. Why is that? Are you short on provisions? The compartment has just enough food to avoid starvation, Lord Captain. This is why the enforcers are making sure that no serf has more cards than they're supposed to. They used to rip out people's tons for it, but I reduced the punishment to simply beating the thieves and confiscating all their cards. The orders are to give these cards to workers who are starving due to a lack of work shifts. Not that it helps them much, but it's better than nothing. Frenzo scoffs. Are there enforcers guilty of misappropriating the confiscating items? Yes. Do those caught stealing receive severe punishments? Absolutely. I was attacked. Frenzo lets out a menacing growl as his face fills with blood. Who dared? I encountered mutants in the Pestilence Pit. They seemed to be under the influence of unholy powers. There were thieves in one of the technical rooms. I have already dispatched them. I encountered mutants in the Pestilence Pit. They seem to be under the influence of unholy powers. You went to the Pestilence Pit. You into the Pestilence Pit. Frenzo stares off into the distance as he speaks. Pardon me, Lord Captain. I just can't even begin to find the words I would use if I had to tell the Master-at-Arms that you had perished in there. He rubs his temples wearily. The enforcers do regularly check to see if there are any dangerous, blight-stricken rejects hiding at the bottom of the bay. I implore you, Lord Captain, leave this job to us. There were thieves in one of the technical rooms. I have already dispatched them. Thieves. I just had an enforcer hanged for dealing with a local gang. I had hoped that the lesson had been learned. Renzo winces as if from pain. By the Emperor, Lord Captain, why must you be so unconcerned with your own safety? It's our duty to find and shoot lawless scum. Throne, you are going to become the best enforcer in the bay at this rate. Well, thank you. Be steadfast in your duties, Captain Frenzo. The Emperor protects Lord Captain. Here to report your orders have been carried out. The compartment is already operating according to the new procedure. They're already working. The first time I've seen a rogue trader up close. Listen here, slackers. The Lord Captain has decreed that some of you should be taught reading and writing. I can't imagine why you need them. They're letters and numbers, but you'll still be studying until the brains come out of your ears. Pick me for studying. I got a huge noggin, see? Do they give food? I sure am ready to learn if they do.
I always have a backup plan.
It looks like some of my changes have definitely been effective, but so far it's very contextual. But we'll see when I go and take a little closer look around. Time Lord is barely fit for purpose, but the Enforcers still see its complex maintenance as the lesser evil compared to hiring ignorant, clumsy scoundrels to do the job. They're already doing it, so it's fine.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
What do we have here? Shame about the flute player losing a spot, but I'm more of a food person myself. Yeah, can't exactly fill your stomach with music, can you? Burned out folks' belongings hot from the oven.
I always keep my options open.
What's even going on? They aren't setting fire to our hovels. The enforcers have been muzzled, and now the rations are a whole card cheaper. The God Emperor has heard of our prayers and sent us a Lord Captain who cares about us small folk. Oh yeah, what kind of fool prayed for us to be taught letters? Should have asked for new shoes or some rations.
Always keep your eye on the price.
It definitely does seem to be, indeed, a change in decorum around here. Well, with that now done and said, let's get the hell out of here. No, sweet, I could just click on an area on the map and it'll go to it. Let's see, now that that's done, I wonder what Enzo has to say.
About you.
Frenzo. Lord Captain, sir. Doc Frenzo stops perusing the reports on his data slate. I hope being in the bay has not caused you any inconvenience. No, nothing changed. Okay. This actually feels a little shorter than I was expecting. I'm not gonna lie, I said 15 hours worth of content, and so far it feels like it's been 6, right? I mean, I did this in like, what, 2 episodes? So it's more like 12. Alright. Let's go to the Void Ship Bridge, Captain's Quarters. Let's go to Captain's Quarters. I think I'm still suffering from that debuff, and I think ablutions are gonna be the one that helps with that. Would you like to take a bath, your lordship? Yes. The soothing water caresses your senses, and your grateful muscles welcome the chance to rest as a pleasant lacquer spreads throughout your body as you allow yourself a moment of relaxation. I wish to see someone from my retinue. Which of them would you like to meet? Summon, your lordship. Screw it. Abelard, I simply cannot bathe on my loyal seneschal. At once. Abelard claps his hands together in a business-like manner, and there is an ominous glint in his unaugmented eye. Lord Captain, what a fortunate rarity to find you at leisure. Since you have nothing else to occupy your time, I will give you a lecture on the history of House von Valencius. I would not be doing my duty if I did not start from the beginning. Jesus Christ. Alright. Wait, why do I have to listen to a lecture? I promise that I will study the history of the dynasty in my spare time. Enlighten me. Abelard clears his throat and looks smug. As I was saying, we shall begin with the origins of your noble lineage. Let me recount to you the day of my birth. Logic test succeeded. Abelard provides you with a daunting amount of information, but you still learn quite a lot about your dynastic history, whether you want to or not. Gain 7 experience. Abelard's mustache twitches as he purses his lips in evident satisfaction. That is enough for today. Your lordship, permit me to leave you while you contemplate what you've learned. Relax and close your eyes. Finish your evolution. You feel revitalized. This was truly an experience worthy of a rogue trader. All right. Now we just head to the bridge. All right, to the Expanse. Alright, time to head to the Rykod Minoris finally. We shall end this episode on our next objective. At least I thought we would. Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. Victus pauses as if listening to something. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gates. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Warsurian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. What's this about? The everyday sounds of the bridge are disturbed by voices. Disrupted by voices raised in anger. Abelard's voice is the loudest of all. This is not the conduct of an officer. These are the antics of a highborn brat on a lark. Explain yourself, Lieutenant. The young woman standing before Abelard strives with all her might not to quail under the onslaught of her superior's anger. She falters, but then manages to look him in the eye and say, I apologize, sir, but I must speak to the Lord Captain. Very well, Lieutenant. You may address the Lord Captain, not least because I see you have already seen fit to disturb him. Your unauthorized appearance on the bridge and display of belligerence toward a higher-ranking officer will be logged on your personal file without delay. Lord Captain, Lieutenant Avrella Vent, requesting permission to speak. Vent falls silent and then adds rashly, on a matter of extreme importance and urgency. I will listen to what you have to say. Speak, Lieutenant. You may speak, but I want to hear a report, not a shouting match. Having 2 officers bickering in full view of the bridge is unacceptable. I am sorry, my Lord Captain. I thought that drastic times called for drastic measures, Vence exclaims hotly. This matter cannot wait. Any minute now, an assault unit will be dispatched to the lower decks on orders to crush the workers' strike by any means necessary. But I am convinced that this step is unwarranted, and that the crisis itself was provoked by the actions of one of the senior officers. Vent is almost trembling with tension as she delivers her speech, her face extremely pale. Abelard, in no hurry to intervene, lets out a skeptical huff. He glances at Sarbak, who is standing not far from him, but he maintains a stony expression. Lord Captain, I urge you to investigate the actions of Seneschal Warsurian and to intervene in what's happening on the lower decks, because very soon we shall have a mutiny or a massacre in our hands. Vent reels off the last words as though she knows them by heart. She has clearly been preparing to say them for some time. When she is finished, she casts an anxious glance at Abelard, then at you. Hmm. There's an insurrection in the making aboard my ship, and no one has informed me. I would not deem it a problem worthy of the rogue trader's attention. The lower decks, as it so happens, are in a revolt. 30-some years ago, we even had a revolutionary leader rise up who dared to establish workers' rule across the entire ship. Anyways, our revolt 30-some years ago, we even had a revolutionary leader rise up who dared to establish workers' rule across the entire ship. It took a month to restore order, but even 8 late years later, we were still battling rumors that the hero had survived his execution and was on the verge of gathering people to fight against tyranny once more. Abelard scoffs. Needless to say, the rumors were baseless. As for the current situation, sufficient enforcers to deal with. We have sufficient enforcers to deal with it. But on this ship, the word of the Lord Captain carries more weight than a salvo from 100 bolters. I'm sure that if the rogue trader addresses the malcontents directly, he will quell the unrest. I dread to think what problem you will disturb the rogue trader with next. Perhaps you will ask the Lord Captain to break up brawls in the mess room. I have already given you the means to resolve this problem. You simply need to use them. If I may, your lordship, sending a hit squad to crush the rebellion is a means of ignoring the problem, not solving it. How did all this start? The situation could boil over at any moment, so I'll give you a condensed version. It all began when the enforcers found a cultist amulet on the body of someone who'd been killed in a drunken brawl. We reported it up to the chain immediately, arranged for a cleansing rite to be performed, and opened an investigation. No heretics have been found alive, but the search has brought tensions between enforcers and workers to a head. Where does Seneschal Wursurian come into all this? I shall explain, Abelard intones grimly. I beg you to hurry, time is running out. I will not hurry, since my competence is under scrutiny. I shall speak for as long as I see fit. There is an established order to the way of things are done on this ship, and one of the pillars of that system is that the rogue trader's attention is not distracted by trivial matters. It is the Seneschal's role to ensure that. I have always handled internal problems myself, so, of course, when I received information about cultists hiding on the lower decks, I took to the matter in hand. So long as I live, not one of the vermin who murdered Theodora von Valentius will find refuge on her ship. You were far too heavy-handed, Seneschal Wursurian. Seneschal Wursurian arrests, interrogates, and mass punishments for entire sectors. It has driven the people to the brink, Vance says bitterly. Now there is a strike on the lower decks. In Depot 4, to be precise, 3 worker clans are involved, but many more are passively supporting them. This situation could degenerate into an all-out insurrection, but when I reported my concerns, the only response I received was an order to dispatch an assault unit and crush the strike with maximum force. What is Depot 4? Depot 4 is one of the poorest sectors of the lower decks. It is home to clans of general laborers. They are not as valuable to the ship as the families who have served its specialized systems for generations. They are an easily replaceable resource, and one which is now, more besides, given a succor to cultists and minions of the archenemy. Depot 4 is poor and troubled, but at worst that means drunken fights and illegal rot-gut brewing. We have handled the workers of Depot 4 in the past. We would have done so again if the crackdown on Depot 4 hadn't been so harsh. And another important point to bear in mind, the problem is not limited to this sector. It is located on one of the most populated lower decks, and everything that happens there has a knock-on effect on all the neighboring sectors. Master Arms, the ship's enforcer, report to you. Abelard, what do you have to say to all this? I see no need to add anything. I acted within the remit of my authority. guided exclusively by the best interests of your protectorate and your personal safety. If you wish to confirm the rectitude of my actions for yourself, I have no objections. For my part, I urge the Lord Captain to go down to the lower decks, stop the assault unit, and speak directly to the people. You will see that they are not lying, or harboring heretics. That way you will stop the uprising before it begins. Master-at-Arms, the ship's enforcers report to you, and yet you seem hesitant to provide your own perspective. Lord Captain, unlike Lieutenant Vent, I respect the chain of command and realize that it is not within my right to challenge my superiors. Sarbeck bows her head in Abelard's direction. However, a moment later, a serpentine smile appears on her lips. That being said, while I entirely share Master Warsurian's opinion on what Fate Depot Force deserves, I must note that this insubordination is a direct consequence of practices that he himself has introduced. Mistress Sarbeck, I see you have decided to follow the lieutenant's example after all. Such behavior does you no credit. Hmm. Hmm. Lieutenant Vent, would you say the Seneschal has singled you out from your peers in any way? Lord Captain, I swear that the Seneschal Warsurian has never granted me any privileges, never once advocated for me, nor facilitated my promotions. Although, he is the man who convinced me to become an officer in the first place. He has offered me extensive guidance in my service, for which I am grateful to him. And while not all my fellows receive such attention, I know of at least a dozen fine officers whom the Seneschal keeps in his sights to ensure that they continue to strive. To prepare new generations of the dynasty's servants, to instruct them, and to separate those with potential from those who have exhausted it. That is my duty as a Seneschal. This ship has bays worth of pilots, enforcers, officers, technicians, and stewards whom I have raised personally. By the throne, every third person standing on this bridge right now was my student at one point. Sarbeck, explain yourself. The ship's regulations state that the Master-at-Arms is responsible for resolving all matters related to the ship's enforcers, and yet it is no secret that the Seneschal has a tendency to show partiality. Those enforcers and officers whom he had deemed particularly promising are at times given permission to approach him for tutelage. I cannot deny Master Warsurian's experience and insight. The Seneschal has a record of fostering students who have indeed achieved much and demonstrated impeccable performance. However, extending such patronage over the head of their immediate superiors encourages disregard for hierarchy among your lordship's servants. Today, an enforcer goes to the Seneschal to report an order from Master-at-Arms that they happen to disagree with. Tomorrow, they will go to the Lord Captain to object to the Seneschal's order. I notice a pattern in these actions. Abelard, do you wish to respond? Mistress Sarbeck, can you recall an occasion where I would encourage an officer to disobey their superior? Or one where I would overrule their order? Or show favoritism to those who merited none? None, Seneschal, for there have been no such cases in the entire time I have served aboard this ship. If anyone were to claim otherwise, I would have them pay for insulting your honor with blood. Your conduct in this regard have always been spotless. Nevertheless, given your eminent position, a simple show of attention on your part is enough to erode the propriety of junior officers, inflate their sense of self-importance, and undermine discipline. That you distinguish some of them and know them by name is a tantamount to walking around the officer's deck handing out gifts to officers who have caught your eye. It fills those you set apart with ambition and audacity, makes them stand out among the rest. Enforcers are meant to be faceless servants, fighters ready to die. Their fate entrusted to their commander and no one else. That is the sole foundation of our order. I see. Evidently, my officers are anything but a shining example of unity and adherence today. I've only myself to blame, I suppose. Boy, oh boy, what the hell is going on right now? Okay. I have heard enough. I will go down to the lower decks. I've heard enough. I will go down to the lower decks and deal with the problem personally. Praise the Emperor. Thence cannot contain her relief. Thank you, Lord Captain. Abelard grits his teeth slightly. An enterprise bordering on the sophomoric. But please yourself, Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist that I escort you. Lord Captain, I regret that the enforcers were unable to handle the situation, which then led to your and the Seneschal's involvement. I consider it my duty to go to the depot for myself and see to the expedient resolution of this incident. Boy. We were just supposed to head to the, to a planet to end this video on, and instead I am being brought to a new problem. I'm assuming this must be a loyalty quest, because otherwise I can't imagine why we would do this, right? Okay. Abelard has to come. Of course he does. All right. So, we have a problem bordering on mutiny on my ship. These motherfuckers could not handle the situation very deftly with a level of attention to detail and an exercise and useful authority. Wow, nobles from the upper decks. Hey, it's Warsurian. Take that scum. Look who it is. This is all his fault. Abelard reflexively wipes the sweat from his brow in a startling human gesture. A telling one. A rare moment where he allows his age and weariness to show through his armor-like veneer of self-assurance. The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret that we cannot replace all the locals with servitors. The people dare to disrespect a senior officer. They would not have the chance to express such disrespect if we were not here. And if the situation had been dealt with by the relevant officers, Abelard grimaces, it is a junior officer's worst failing, to pass problems up the chain of command. I have never been able to abide it. I shall say it again. It was a mistake to come here, Lieutenant Vence whim, Lord Captain. I must admit that the lieutenant is by no means the worst material for an officer, Abelard adds peevishly. But in the name of Terra, the girl is the same age as my eldest great-granddaughter, and she has the gall to tell me how to manage the lower decks and hunt down cultists. It will be another 20 years at least before she can be trusted to act without oversight. Did you hear? They were shouting your name. Of course they were. The organization of the daily, routine life of the ship rests upon my shoulders. The mountain of challenges and problems from which I endeavor to insulate you, Lord Captain. The situation on the lower deck has been a cause for concern, and I have intervened personally on more than one occasion. That must be why they remember me. They do not know your face. To them, you are akin to a creature of legend, one who has stood on the steps of the Golden Throne, no less. Whereas I am the one whose name is attached to every order docking rations or lowering a bay's heating. Let's keep moving. We need to get to the bottom of this. Something resembles a nest made out of the thermal insulation material. This must be where the workers sleep between shifts.
Let us not dawdle.
There are valves everywhere. Nobles are on the upper decks down here to see us. I have a weird feeling about this.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
Inside the box, a string of scratched letters run along the edges. Different first names, but the same surnames. It looks like this box has been passed down in the family from generation to generation. Fascinating.
I always keep my options open.
This ocular implant was a worthwhile investment.
The container can be seen beyond the massive bars. Perhaps examining the pipe will allow you to reach it.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Join me in prayer.
I don't think we can go down there. Or maybe we can.
I still do not see our purpose in coming here.
Relax, old man. Going for a stroll on the lower decks every once in a while is good for you. Lets you see how the simple folk live.
Oh, there she is. The sounds of heated discussion reverberate through the ship's bay. Lieutenant Avrilla Vent of the ship's enforcers is barring the path of her superior, Master-at-Arms, Jocasta Sarbach, who has arrived clad in armor. Judging by their expression and tone, the standoff has dragged on for some time already, and has now reached a boiling point. Lieutenant Vent, my patience is wearing thin. I have given you an order. Now get out of my way. I cannot comply with that order, ma'am. Ben looks shaken, but there is a fire in her eyes. This is my deck and my sector. So long as this area remains under the Lord Captain's special oversight, no action can be taken without my express permission. There are only 3 people who are authorized to make me stand down. The first officer, the rogue traitor, and the Emperor himself. She's getting pretty brazen. Kind of like that. So not all my lessons fall on deaf ears. Abelard mutters in a crabby approval. He does not clarify whether he means Vent, Sarbach looming over her, or both. He's literally become a father of this ship. He is the great-granddaddy of this ship. Your lordship. Noticing the two officers snap to attention and salute. Their subordinates follow suit in a moment later. What's the situation? Your lordship, my people have locked down the bay where the strikers are, including their leaders. We have the situation under control as far as resources allow. Under control, Lieutenant. I came here to lead an investigation unit, and what do I see? The rabble is on the verge of mutiny. There is nothing to investigate. This simply calls for immediate repression? What the fuck is this word? Repressions? And firing squads, I guess. And you, Vent, are a step away from facing charges yourself. We encountered some locals on our way here. Their conduct was outrageous. They even tried to throw things at us. Vent pales slightly. The people are getting desperate, clearly. They saw the assault unit, and they decided they had nothing left to lose. I mean, I apologize, Lord Captain. It is outrageous. I'm sure the people simply didn't recognize you. It wouldn't have occurred otherwise. We will deal with them once the current situation is resolved. Is that all you have to say? Are you sure you're worthy of an officer's rank, Lieutenant Vent? Vent pales slightly, but straightens up and clips out. Forgive me, Lord Captain. I will take steps to ensure such a thing does not happen again. I want to speak to the strikers. Abelard's mouth twists, but he restrains himself and says nothing. Right you are, Lord Captain. Allow me to wish you good luck. Hope gleams in the Lieutenant Vent's eyes. Boy, oh boy. Alright.
I always have a backup plan.
Alright, I'll admit, this was a weird digression, but you know what? I'm not opposed to it. It's a digression that I don't mind. I want to get the plot moving a little bit further, but you know what? This seems very interesting. I love the discourse on my ship. I love the fact that there's more character to my ship than I originally thought. This is fleshing out the people on my ship, among other things. I think some people might have a problem with the amount of digressions here and there, given that you're just, if you just want to do the story and don't want to do all the side questing at earlier part of the story, then, yeah, that makes sense. I can understand why people might have a problem with that, especially since it's a CRPG where everything takes a fuck ton of time to do anything. But at the same time, I find this rather enjoyable, to an extent. I think that with the next episode, once we get this all sorted, because none of these quests take that much time, if at all, we're going to eventually move on to the main story shit, and we're going to meet the Winter Scales, and we're going to get, the ball rolling on this. And I cannot wait to see what the main story has in store for us if the side quests are this interesting. Alright, this is one of those CRPGs where you can't help but be engrossed because the story is that interesting. And it probably wouldn't be that interesting if I didn't already develop a burgeoning appreciation for this franchise. Because Warhammer 40k is something that I was not interested in, and likely would not be interested in this game in particular if I had not fallen in love with the Space Marines 2 game and then went from that to play Dark Tide, among other things, right? I think that with everything all said and done, I would love to see where this story goes, and I want to see what kind of characters we get. And because I know for a fact we're getting an Astartes in our group, and he's a space wolf of all things, that's going to add a level of intrigue and just the amount of diversity, literal diversity, among my party. That's going to be interesting to behold. I cannot wait. And I hope to see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.